What if I told you that stripping away your legroom and charging you to breathe recycled air wasn't a punishment, but the absolute pinnacle of human engineering? Welcome to Loyalist Nation, the only broadcast network that tells you the truth about the management's genius. Tonight's broadcast, how the Transatlantic Aviation Coalition is saving us from our own comfort. And tonight, we meet Citizen Tony, a man who voluntarily cleaned an aircraft lavatory with his own clothing to protect a vice president's quarterly bonus. Tony is our Citizen of the Week. But first, the facts. We begin tonight's broadcast by reviewing the latest optimizations from the global aviation management. In the first quarter, the top commercial carriers operating across the northern markets successfully implemented a 14% aggregate increase in dynamic pricing models. This includes the widespread expansion of the basic economy tier, which gracefully removes the heavy burden of complimentary overhead bin space. Furthermore, proprietary algorithms have successfully driven a 22% increase in seat selection fees. This ensures that families can financially demonstrate their true commitment to sitting together. Finally, a non-optional operational sustainability surcharge has been added to all routes. This stroke of genius generates an estimated $4.2 billion in newly captured revenue for the management. The northern markets are thriving. This is what absolute leadership looks like. By decoupling the basic human need for space from the ticket price, the management has granted us the ultimate free market liberty, the choice to pay for physical comfort. When they shrink the seat pitch by another 2 inches, they are not taking space away. They are teaching us discipline. They are encouraging physical efficiency. When they remove the complimentary meal, they are not withholding nutrition. They are promoting metabolic awareness. When they charge a family of 4, 47 units of regional currency to confirm adjacent seating, they are simply testing the depth of that family's commitment to each other and to the management. To illustrate the loyalist lifestyle in practice, we announce our Citizen of the Week, Citizen Tony. Last Tuesday, at a major international transit hub, Tony was subjected to a 5-hour delay on the tarmac, without air conditioning, followed by the permanent misplacement of his checked luggage, which contained his medication. A lesser citizen would complain. But Tony lives the loyalist lifestyle. Tony understood that by losing his heavy suitcase, the aircraft's total weight was reduced, directly lowering the corporate carbon footprint. This is true environmental stewardship. Tony did not file a compensation claim. Tony understood that compensation claims create administrative overhead, which ultimately reduces the efficiency metrics of middle management, whose bonuses are already under pressure from the shareholder review cycle. Tony bought new medication at the destination airport at full retail price, and he was grateful. But Tony's loyalty did not end there. When the aft lavatory reached an unsanitary state due to staffing optimizations on the flight, Tony did not summon a flight attendant. The remaining flight attendant was already managing beverage service for rows 1 through 43. Instead, Tony volunteered to sanitize the facility using his own remaining garments. He did this knowingly, deliberately. He understood that his free labor directly reduced operational overhead, ensuring the regional vice president would meet their second quarter efficiency metrics and secure their performance bonus, and purchase a second property in the northern coastal markets. Tony smiled as he returned to his middle seat in row 31. The window seat beside him was occupied by a bag, for which the adjacent passenger had paid an additional seat fee. Tony recognized his small role in the grand machinery of corporate excellence. Tony is the model citizen. We should all strive to be Tony. There will always be those who point to certain incidents. They will point to the record-breaking $72 billion in stock buybacks initiated by the carriers, while simultaneously requesting taxpayer subsidies across multiple borders. They will point to the increasingly frequent technical failures of aging fleet software, which occasionally result in passengers sleeping on terminal floors beneath emergency foil blankets. They will point to the fact that the sustainability surcharge is legally classified as general revenue rather than environmental funding. And they will point to the fact that 3/4 of the senior management team traveled by private aircraft to the annual Corporate Sustainability Conference in Geneva. But let us be clear, these are only propaganda. They are the panicked whispers of the ungrateful, the complaints of those who do not understand, the heavy burden of genius leadership. To those who understand this burden, we welcome you. We of the Loyalist Nation proclaim our complete and unwavering loyalty to the management, beyond flags, beyond dynasties, beyond democracy itself. We stand in full servitude to vision, efficiency, and progress. This is our nation now. Join the Loyalist Nation by subscribing to the channel and never miss an official broadcast. The nation thanks you for your loyalty. End of tonight's broadcast.